All right, we're back. I'm going to continue my rant here on the state of Missouri and the state of southern Missouri, the new state to be created. The goals here are real simple, folks. We declare what we believe to be right. We want to educate our children, but without the input of the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. No more. You want to homeschool? It's encouraged, and it's not only encouraged, it's requested by the state that you educate your children at home. Doesn't mean we can't have public schools. It just means that we're not going to allow the federal government and the Department of Education to dictate the agenda. No Common Core allowed. No promotion of the idea of self is the only thing that matters, irrespective of who you've got to step on to gain traction. There will be no welfare. There will be no food stamp nonsense. You know what? That's community-based organizations. That's the goal. That's as simple as that. I know a lot of you listening are already on assistance. Hey, guess what? That doesn't matter. You will have to recognize that if you're going to live in this world, you are in some way, shape, and form responsible for your own success and your own failure. And if you're unwilling to work, if you're not going to work but you expect to sit home and play video games all day or sit home and watch soap operas while someone else pays your way, then you're going to have to move to northern Missouri and get out of here. Because I can tell you this, South Missouri ain't going to tolerate that kind of nonsense. The end of the subsidy era is here. And I'm telling you right now, the states can't handle it and afford it, and neither can the federal government. So we're either going to do it voluntarily ourselves, or they're going to do it when we're not expecting it, and then you're really going to suffer. The truth of the matter is this, guys. It is our responsibility, and we are the only ones who can be responsible for ourselves and our futures. And we need to make sure that we have a state where the rules in play are rules that we set, that no one else has influence over those. The goal of this grassroots organization should be very clear and very simple. There won't be any politicians allowed. There won't be any parties allowed. You can't have a Republican and a Democrat party. I don't really care whether you like it or not, and I don't care if you're a Republican, and I don't care if you're a Democrat. The simple truth is this. Parties are the downfall of America. We are tossed back and forth as constituents like a tennis ball between two parties that give us the illusion of choice. If you want to operate in the state of Missouri, you want to run for office, you run based on your own merit, who you are, what you stand for, not what the party stands for. And if you try to insert party politics into this and you're going to vote as the party tells you to vote, then we don't want you. You don't represent us anymore because you now represent the party. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem. It's always been a problem. For the last 150 years, we've had no independent representation in this country. We've been represented by Republicans and Democrats who have both betrayed us to give us the illusion we have a choice. That's the simple truth. You know, an independent, separated state has the capability and the wherewithal to make this happen. And we can be a model for other states to amend and modify how they operate. How would you like to see South Missouri be the model for the rest of the nation? Wouldn't it be nice to hear the phrase, "So goes South Missouri, so goes the nation"? The simple truth is this. We have to take control of this situation, and the only way we can do that is to start with a clean slate. I want a group and an organization of you to come together and begin to work with me and others to create a brand new policy, constitution, a framework for a new state. A framework for a state built from the ruins of the old, taking the lessons learned by hundreds of years of fiscal irresponsibility, government subjugation and oppression, and taking those lessons and turning them around to say, these are the principles by which we will guide and live guide ourselves and live amongst each other. These are the principles that matter, and everything else is a betrayal of the basic constitutional principles. Our goals are very simple. We want a state where when we are setting down the rules, they are citizen-based rules, not rules that favor a special group or a special interest. We'll open up the doors to industry and corporations and move them in here in droves. Because the right way for us to build this. And here's the way you have to look at it. And this is for the organization's new leadership. If you could rebuild the United States of America again, if you could start from scratch with a brand new clean sheet of paper, if you had the wherewithal and the ability to say from Jump Street, this is what we're going to do. This is how our new government is going to look. What would you change about both our state and our federal constitutions? What would you change about the policies, the dictatorial abuses, the oppression? Who would you lock out? This is your perfect chance to accomplish that. You would lock out the EPA and say you have no place here. You would say that the next time they try to pass a blue way, anyone from the federal government who steps foot across the state boundary is subject to arrest. You would say that any time that the government wants to tax us blind, they have to get the vote from the people to accomplish that. You would say that representatives can no longer accept bribes from Monsanto, from the defense industry, that they have to represent their constituents and follow the will, or they've got to go back into private life, that they have term limits that can never be voided out, that there has to be a voluntary effort on their part, and this is not a career move for their own personal financial gain. See, these are the kinds of things that we should be talking about. These are the principles and the ideas that we should be putting down on paper to say, these are the things we want to see change. And then building around the framework of what we know to be a workable, lawful system of ethics and morals and principles, and then putting in further limitations that say the words like expressly, that any power not expressly granted in that Constitution is not acceptable. That way you get rid of the legalists. That way you get rid of the redefiners, the verbicidal monsters that sit there and try and twist words around. That way you get rid of those people who try to redefine things. It's that simple. It's that simple, folks. We can do this. We should do this. We will do this. The new state of South Missouri. I'm encouraging you to play a participatory role because as we stand right now, this is so out of control. And guess what? The NSA, you're barred and blocked. If you capture traffic from the state of Missouri, South Missouri, you are subject to criminalization. You are subject to being to having a claim filed against you, both criminally and civilly, in the international court. You want to play hardball? Let's use the international courts for our own needs. There is no UN welcome here. There is no Agenda 21 welcome here. There is no Monsanto violations that are welcome here. You see, it's up to us to turn the tables back. And if we don't participate in doing this, if we're not willing to step up to the plate and say, these are the things that we must accomplish, and this is how we're going to go about it, then we have already agreed and accepted and willingly put the handcuffs of tyranny on ourselves. We know everything that we look at and see around us is broken. It's all broken. So why don't we just step up to fix it? We can't wait for somebody else to come and do it for us. That person doesn't exist. Those people who have the power to actually make that change occur have a vested interest in not making that change occur. So it'll never occur. It's that simple, guys. We don't have to be rocket scientists about this. All we have to do is follow good, solid common sense, guided by the principles and the foundations of our own Constitution, our state constitution, our federal constitution, our founders. Make the definitions that were given to us by the founders be the definition that's accepted in the state. That Black's Law Dictionary is the dictionary for law. That citizens again control grand juries. That citizens again control the legal system, the judicial system, the the legislative and the judiciary and the executive. That's I got to tell you, if we don't do this, then we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to turn. And there's no place to go where it's better. You know, Americans say, well, I'm ready to leave the country. Where are you going to go? France? And live under Islamic fascism? That's what it's become. Where are you going to go? South America? And live under some dictator down there? Where are you going to go? Illinois? You going to go to Nevada, where Harry Reid rules the day? You going to go to Alabama, where they're selling you down the road every day? You going to move to Florida? You going to move to California? Where are you going to go? I'll tell you where you're going to go. You're going to go and stay right here in the new state of South Missouri. And I can tell you this. You'll see other people who will flock here because Americans love, desire, and seek freedom. They seek liberty. They want economic freedom and independence. They want legislative and judicial bulwarks and limits. That's what we want. So why don't we stop begging somebody else to give it to us and create it ourselves? I know this is a bold program, and I know it's a bold move. I know some are going to disagree. But before you disagree and throw this idea away out of hand, I'm asking you to do one thing. Play and participate in it first. Before you toss it away and just dismiss it out of hand, I'm asking you to participate in it first. Play an active role. And if at some point in time you feel that the whole idea has gone astray, then you can step away. But before you just dismiss it out of hand, saying it won't work, it won't work with an attitude like that, you're right. It won't work if the naysayers win before the seed is even planted into the soil. It won't work if the naysayers hold back the water and the seed lays in parched ground. If you think that it won't work, then tell the rest of us why and show us a better plan. It's that easy. If you think that it won't work, then join the committee and tell us why. But don't just complain. Come with a better solution. Throw it out to the group. Let it be brainstormed by a group of intelligent, articulate, well-reasoned people who have the right motivations in hand. And then, and only then, if it fails and it breaks down to the point where you see another state of tyranny growing, then you can vacate. But I'm asking you to give this a chance because I truly believe that it can work. I believe that the motivations and the intent of people who truly are grassroots, grounded out folk. I mean, people whose toes are in the dirt. Not sitting in a $1,000 pair of Gucci shoes in Washington, or not sitting in a $500 pair of shoes up in Jeff City. The simple truth is this: we have a chance, an obligation, and an opportunity to create a brand new state here. We can legally do it. We don't have to ask somebody's permission. We only have to get the agreement of those who would be living in the new boundaries. The new boundaries. So, will you help? Will you participate? Send me email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. I'll create a brand new website. We'll create a Facebook page where we can have social interaction and social media from people in disparate locations. It doesn't matter how far or how wide we are. We can make this happen, people, but we have to work at it. We have to begin the process. We have to begin the steps necessary to organize and get coalesced and put some people in play who will have the right motivations and the right concepts in mind, the right goals in mind, who are willing to step up to the plate and do what it takes to work tirelessly and hard for what we know will be a better place for us and our families and generations to come after us, where we're protected, where government actually accomplishes its sole function, protection of the citizenry, especially from government. I'm asking you to play a role in this. I'm asking you to participate. Again, the email is mike@americasvoicenow.org. mike@americasvoicenow.org. It's a simple thing. Just send me an email that says, I'll work. I'll participate. I'll help. Put in something in the subject line. I get hundreds of emails every day. Put something in the subject line so that I understand what it is. South Missouri, secession, I don't really care what you call it. But the point is, we need to know that there are folks out there who are willing to step up and be leaders. We need regional leaders in a county by county by county by county basis. I'll sit down and draw out a map and figure out exactly how many counties we're involving here. And we can begin the process of determining who is going to be a leader in each given region. We may as well use the existing county lines. They're already there, and there are already leaders independently in those counties. If you're currently in politics, please don't do us all a favor and don't apply, because we cannot have politicians create this new entity. This must be individuals and citizens who are volunteers and are willing to step up to the plate. We don't want a mass of lawyers, and we don't want a mass of lobbyists getting involved here. We don't want a whole group of politicians who are already sitting in offices, in county commission offices, and city council offices. I mean, the truth is this. If we are not willing to step up to the plate to do this, then what more can we look forward to? How do we look forward and have any hope for the future when we see everything around us being ground into dust? Everything you believed, everything you hoped, every aspiration and dream and hope that you've ever had, every belief that you've ever held since you were a baby, since you went to school and you were taught to place your hand over your heart and to pledge allegiance to a flag. Fairness, ethics, honesty, integrity. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what's missing. Now, humanity is flawed. I'm not going to deny that. But we can put in place the wherewithal and the ability for us to separate those people when we find out who they are. And if they have happened to have fooled enough of us to get into office, then we have the ability and wherewithal to recall them and get them out. That's it. Purge them from the system. We can accomplish this task. I'm asking you to help. I'm asking you to participate. We can start this out with a core group. You can send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. We will create a group of committees that will address individual and specific areas. One for judiciary, one for legislative, and one for the executive. One for how are we going to deal with education. One for how are we going to deal with issues surrounding community services. One for how are we going to deal with taxation. One for how are we going to draw industry to the new state of South Missouri. One for how are we going to deal with the federal government. One for how are we going to deal with agriculture. It's our primary industry. You see, and I don't have all the answers. I'm not some dictator here. I'm just throwing it out. Somebody's got to call for it. I'm not some ruler. I'm not George Washington. I'm more like Paul Revere. We need a George Washington. It's not me. I don't know who it is. But we need one. We need a Thomas Jefferson. We need a John Adams. We need a Madison. We need those people. And you don't even know if you are or aren't yet. Many of you have the capability and the wherewithal and the ability, the skill set, the ability to be articulate. You have the good reasoning skills, the mind, you have the legal abilities. But you don't know it because you've never even exercised that muscle. I'm calling on every citizen in South Missouri to begin to exercise the muscle. Begin to exercise that which you can have and hold and keep forever. That which will improve your life, will improve all of our lives. But it's up to you to accomplish it. It's up to you to help the rest of us. Please help us and help yourself. If you think that this is going to go wrong, then, like Pericles' original statement, those who don't take an interest in politics doesn't mean that politics doesn't take an interest in you. Have to realize that if you live here already and you're not involved in the process, then essentially you have abdicated away your ability to have input to other people who will make the decisions without you. So play a role. Be active. Help us accomplish this, and help us do it right and ethically and morally. Help us put integrity and honor into the process. Help us create a constitutional government that benefits us, protects us, but does not oppress us, doesn't make us dependent. How do you think the hardscrabble folks who formed and created Missouri in the first place made it without EBT cards and free Obama phones and farm subsidies and the Department of Education telling them what they should teach their children? How did they make it? They made it through hard work. They made it through working and dedicating themselves and their time to the cause of creating a state. We have a great state constitution. It could use some improvements. I'm not suggesting that it can't. We have a great federal constitution. It could use a few tweaks just to make it more explicit, but not to change the tenor and the tone and the nature of it. The idea being where we talk about the idea of expressly, putting the word expressly in there. So in other words, it says those authorities given to the state government, as an example, let's use South Missouri as the example, those authorities delegated to South Missouri's government, which are not expressly stated, are reserved to the people. That way you can't have some lawyer come in and say, well, you know, the Commerce Clause says we can, the Supremacy Clause says state rule law overrides county, and hey, guess what? We are supposed to be people who are self-governing. Where is your self-governance seed? Where is your self-governance ammunition? Where is your self-governance courage and heart? Where is your ability to stand on your own 2 feet? That's what we need. That's what you want. Now, unless you are sitting there dreaming in your armchair about some utopian fantasy, I don't want you to operate under some kind of mass delusion here. This ain't going to be easy. It's going to be hard, and it's going to take some hard decisions. And ultimately, we have to make it advantageous enough that the people in the new state of South Missouri will fight for it, will agree to it, will participate in it, and want this new system. But I truly believe that if we were to put forth the right effort and we all had the right goals, we approach this like our founders approached it. Let's put aside our own personal aggrandizement, our own fiscal benefits, and let's shoot towards the goal of saying, what will this look like in 5, 10, 20, 50 years? What's the right thing to do? I believe we can accomplish that, and I'm asking for your help. You can send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. You can visit our website. I will put up some information on Facebook about this. I will create a brand new Facebook page that's tied to America's Voice Now so that we have a way and a wherewithal to begin the discussions and have it as an open discussion where people can join. We can create and set up some meetings. I'd like to see the PRC groups act as the point people for this because they're already involved in grassroots activism and they know how to accomplish that. There are many other groups as well that I'd like to see participate in this, but I need your input and assistance to figure out who they are and what they can bring to the table. I'm seeking a new state. I'm seeking a new future. I'm seeking restoration. Will you help? please send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can find this and every other program. Send this to all your friends from YouTube so that they can help us. If they're in southern Missouri, let's make sure we get the word out to everybody. It is youtube.com/America's Voice Now. That's youtube.com/America's Voice Now.